All right, let's talk about trading people, Cope. This is the tough part of the job because you're boys with all these guys.
Yeah, I know.
So Morgan Rielly and David Kampf land on Daily Faceoff's trade targets list. Frank Saravalli putting out his extended list yesterday. Let's start with Morgan Rielly, man. 5 years left at $7.5 million. Got a full no move there involved, but it was a really difficult year for Morgan Rielly, and the Leafs have to find a way for a bit of a culture change. Where do you stand on the whole Rielly conversation?
I mean, for me, I'm a Rielly guy. I always have been. To me, he's a lot of heart and soul. Longest tenured Leaf. I mean, you trade him, those are some big changes, like locker room changes. Culture changes, but I don't know if that's a culture you want to change. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think he's important. I really do. I feel like in the locker room, he's a glue. And if you get rid of too much glue, things can fall apart, right? I don't know. I'm on the side of, I think you get the second year of this decor together, and they've now had a full year, or almost, they got half a year together, but him and Carlo next year, they're going to gel better. They're going to be a better unit. And because they don't have too many defensemen, OEL does sometimes, that come up, that join the rush. That's an important aspect to have. I don't know. I feel like you lose that too, unless you trade for that. But I don't know. I'm a fan of keeping Rielly personally. I feel like you get Nyes locked in. I feel like Tavares will take a team-friendly contract to stay here, because I think for him, when we talk about family, it's important for him and his family to be here. So I think that's an instance where, he stays. And if you got a guy that's still contributing 38 goals, man, like.
Yeah, that's value, and I'm almost there with you on Rielly. I think it's a tough deal to begin with to make because of how much term he's got, how much money he's got.
Sure.
And I'm not a big fan of trading guys when their value's very low. Like, he's coming off probably his tough, hardest season, worst season, whatever you want to call it, in recent memory at the very least. And I agree with you. I think that's a really good point. Leading back to the deadline, they pick up Brandon Carlo, you bring him in, and I thought he actually made Rielly a better player. I know they ran out of gas there against the Florida Panthers, but I think we saw more of the better than the worse from Morgan Rielly. And I just think, getting back to the point, I don't think it's the right time to execute a move like that. If you're seeking change, there's other routes on the roster I would go. But I just wonder about the fit long-term with Craig Berube and Morgan Rielly. That's all.
Yeah. It seems like Berube likes him, though, and understands what he does bring to the table. And I really do feel like, now that they have a bunch of games under their belt together, him and Carlo will be a really good defensive pair, because it allows Rielly to join the rush more. I feel like that's the kind of defenseman he is. He's the defenseman that will join the rush, but he didn't get to a lot because the rest of the defensive core had breakdowns. Now this defense, like Simon Benoit and what he flourished into this season, and then in the playoffs, man, like, I know BX has said the best six man going, but like, dude was awesome these playoffs, and great this entire season. Like, I feel really good about that defense. So it feels like that's an area that was really good. That and goaltending. I mean, every area was good, don't get me wrong, but then in the playoffs, it broke down a little bit, but I also think that Florida deserves a lot of credit for that. People are just dumping on the Leafs and saying they got blown out, they got this, they got that. Yeah, by the defending Stanley Cup champions, who are the closest thing to the New York Islanders of the early 80s I've seen since. That's what this team is.
Yeah.
To me, like, they've been to 3 cups in a row. That hasn't, or I shouldn't speak too soon, but they're about to be three Stanley Cup finals in a row. That doesn't happen in this age of very little disparity, right? To get to the finals 3 times in a row is saying something. And to possibly win back-to-backs, again, I look at them and I go, okay, they're built like the 80s Islanders.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.